Hello everyone! I've been looking online for video ideas, and one of the things I was looking at were things people wish they'd learnt in school. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know that I quite often will do like how-to things of some of the ideas I've taken from there, like how to change a car tyre, for example, I got from there. But one thing that keeps cropping up over and over and over again is how people wished they had better education on mental well-being and how to be happy. And I found this quite consistently across all the websites I looked at. Everything else varied quite a lot. Money issues came up quite a lot, but that would be a different video. So I started making this video a while ago, and I was rambling on complete nonsense, and I thought, I know somebody who works for an organisation called Reroute, who I'll introduce you to in a second. Her name is Emma, and she's quite good at this. So if you take it away, Emma, who are you? What do you do?
Hi Terry, thank you for bringing me on the video. I'm really excited to do it. I'm a holistic life coach. I'm an old friend of Terry's from way back. Now living in Denmark, and I work as a life coach not only with private customers, but I also work with a life coach within educational institutions in Denmark, working with students doing exactly this, working with mental mental health, and teaching them how to improve their life quality and skills that will help them have a good work-life balance now and in the future.
What advice? Okay, this is going to be quite a broad, open question because obviously this is things that people wish they learnt at school. So it's obviously people who are older looking back at things that they wish school had taught. So maybe, what do you think that maybe schools could do to actually help people?
That's a really wide question.
When I was in school, they didn't cover anything like that. You had all your basics, your English, your science, and your maths, and I don't know. I think maybe they covered it very briefly in religious studies, but that not really. But I don't know. I mean, it's not really something you take on at GCSE or whatever equivalent there is in your own country. Um, because by the time you've done that, you're onto that. You're kind of focused on that. So I think it would have to come younger. But then I don't know.
I think, well, one of the things that I work a lot with, and one of the things that actually I work both with students and with private clients, and I also do in workshops, is this idea of looking at your life purpose. Um, and I don't know if you remember when we were at school and you went to see your careers advisor teacher, and you would talk about what subjects do you like and what jobs could fit the bill, and it's all like career focused. So I get a lot of clients coming to me and they're like, I don't know what I want to do in my life. I can't figure it out. I don't know what my life purpose is. And they're losing motivation. They're losing quality of life because of it. And I think that the way that I work with helping people find their life purpose is I have this four-step strategy. And the first part of it is these eight really strange questions, which were created by a guy called Mark Manson, who wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Brilliant book, highly recommend it. But these eight questions basically get you very quickly down to what am I passionate about and what things are actually mean that I would have quality of life. So it's like looking at your baseline, your shit sandwich. I interpret it a little bit differently, but it's like looking at what is the lifestyle I would be happy to accept. Wouldn't be my dream lifestyle, but what would be the things that would keep a quality of life for me? And imagine if you're okay, 16 is a little bit hard to do it, but say 18, 19, you're looking at coming out of the educational system to suddenly get this, well, what's actually important to me? What does life quality mean to me? What are my values all about? So starting there's a really great way to help people with their life purpose. And then I take that into this like a complete ideal world. What would your scenario be? What would be the dream bubble without any boundaries on it and that sort of thing? And then we use that to start to get an idea and a direction of what it actually is they want to do with their lives. It's completely empowering, and it's something that I think that we don't focus on enough in schools and education in general, but also in everyday life. We forget to look at the really important thing in life, which is enjoying the journey. And that's very much what my coaching is based on, is like whatever you're doing, you got to enjoy the journey. So That's one of the big things that I think is really missing, both from education but also from work of world, general mainstream stuff.
Because happiness for different people means different things. Like for some people, the endless pursuit of money is happiness,
Mm,
and I couldn't be further from that at all.
really agree.
And but then other people, just want drift through life, not really knowing what makes them happy, and maybe it's being with their friends or partner or something, and I don't really know where I'm going with this question because
I,
it's just saying
it gives
what
it,
do you think actually makes people happy, and then I remember, have you seen the film Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith?
yes, yes, I love that film.
And
Love that film.
like he's based in that film, obviously, he's obviously got nothing and he's after money in that film, but he's not just
Hmm.
after money, he's also after a way to look after his kid.
Yeah.
um but I think because I know you've got all this stuff about the environment at the moment and the planet's going to pot, and people don't seem to be focused. All the people in charge seem to just think, well, money, money, money. It's all about economy and money, and we need
Mm.
that to make us happy. And then every so often you see on Facebook some meme
Yeah.
with someone like wearing a gas mask because they can't breathe, but they've got all their money.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's really interesting. So I was talking about this with a client, and I've been with a few other friends as well, because I've been very aware of the environmental movement and have been part of that for pretty much my whole life. Um, but we think that the way that because I always think of humans beings as very clever animals. Not everybody agrees with me, but that's my take on it. And I think this whole focus on money is actually the adaptation of our survival instincts as animals. It's like the 21st century people think, oh, we're so focused on money. It's like, well, actually, if you don't look at it as we're focused on money, if you look at that we're focused on survival and how do we survive today, it's with money, it kind of makes more sense. Um, and you were talking about happiness. And I think you're right. A lot of people don't know what makes them happy. And I work with an idea or a concept called conscious living. And this is the thing that completely changed my life from when we knew each other to where I am now. And it's about being conscious of these things, consciously assessing uh, what is it that's important to me, constantly checking in. And I don't mean like by constantly every day, but every 3 months I do an integrity life check. Am I following the things that are important to me? Am I living my principles in my life? Because if we don't do those things, that's what makes us unhappy. If we don't put energy into what's important to us, or even be aware of what's important to us, uh, then of course we're going to be out of balance, and then we're going to be in panic mode, we're going to be in survival mode, and then things like, where do I get my house, where do I get my money from, and all of that becomes our ultimate focus. Have you ever seen this? I think it's from psychology. It's a thing called Maslow's pyramid of need. Have you ever come across that?
um, I'm not sure. It's sort of ringing a bell, but I can't.
Okay.
It might be somewhere in the back of my head.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something that people might have heard of, might not. But I think this is a really powerful tool for the pursuit of happiness, if we can steal that phrase from Will Smith's film and the book that it was based on. But the way that this works, this pyramid, and now this is where I'm going to show my inexpertise, but I can't remember. I think it's 7 layers on this pyramid. And the idea with Maslow is that these are the basic needs for humans' development, from your basal need all the way to enlightenment, so to speak, or another word, happiness. And like the basic, when he basically said that if you don't fulfill all the needs in each category, you can't level to the next one.
I have
So
heard of
when,
it. No,
pardon?
sorry to interrupt. I was just saying.
It's
Yes.
cool, it's cool. You've heard it.
Yes.
Excellent. So
Go
if
carry
you're
on.
saying something that's a little bit different to what you know, then feel free to butt in, because this is something that I kind of apply to this idea of conscious living. But the baseline of this pyramid is your basic needs. So that's your food, shelter, um, sex, because we're animals, we reproduce, all the basic things that we need to function as an animal. And then the next level is security. And then the next one after that is friends and family. And then it goes up to the seventh, which is enlightenment. And I find that a lot of people that I work with, they maybe have the A to B, the bottom, the one working. But then if they're worried about financial security, or if they don't feel safe in a relationship, or there's stresses on their survival, they actually find it very difficult to move from level 2 up to relationships, up to career fulfillment, up to inspiration. So I think it's really important that we get conscious around, well, what is it that's affecting my sense of security, my sense of happiness? Then if you can get aware of that, then you can identify, how can I improve my life quality to be able to get through these things? Does that make sense? Or
Yeah,
am
yeah. Because I just remembered, I learnt about this. 'Cause I work in care, and the last job that I joined, they actually talks about this in basic induction, and the trainer went all into it in detail, and then concluded that she said, "Well, it's a load of rubbish." So we just spent half an hour learning about it, and then she says, "Yeah, but if you can't get like something on this level, and then that's stopping you moving up to this level, but you might be able to move to this level because of something else." I don't know. I was falling asleep by this
Yeah,
point.
I think people think that they take it very literally, that you absolutely have to have everything in place to be able to move up into the other levels. Of course, we can be creative without having our relationship sorted. In fact, some people are even more creative. But I think the idea is that if you don't completely fulfill that need, then it's hard to get to the fullest expression of that human development. But one of the things that I find, because I worked as a pedagogue before I became a life coach, and worked also with people with mental illnesses, and I still do that in my coaching now. I actually coach a lot of people with Asperger's and ADHD, and I myself have Asperger's, so it's quite interesting. But what they forget to do is take this information and put a practical tool on it. And that's kind of going back to what we were talking before about education. Is like there's a really great coaching tool, which is called the Wheel of Life, and it's a way you can look at it in Google. You can find out how to do this, and it's a way of checking in with, where am I at right now? What is it? Something I don't actually, I can show you, because I do this regularly. See, I practice what I preach. And it's a tool where you basically have different areas of your life which kind of relate to this Maslow's theory. So you can see it's a very bad drawing into my personal diary there.
That's fine.
But it's like there's different areas of your life, and you just basically check in, and you give like a number between 1 and 10 as to where you're at. And then you can have a look and go, okay, well, actually, financially, I'm like on a 3, and my fun level is on a 2. Maybe these two things are related. And then the next step is looking at, now I've checked in, what can I do about it? And if we were taught that when we were kids, like how to check in with ourselves, how to identify what's going on, and be emotionally conscious and conscious of what's going on within our bodies and within our lives in a wider picture, how much healthier would we be now?
Quite a lot.
I know, right? It's really cool. And this is what I do. This is my job, is to act as a coach, is to be like this objective perspective in people's lives, and to come in to be the kind of, I don't know all the ins and outs. And to be honest, in my job, it's not about looking at where you've been, it's about now and the future. And that's where I have this like rucksack of practical tools. You can look at my blog, actually, you'll find a lot of stuff on there that I share, because it's really important. People need to know this stuff, but they don't just need to know it, they also need to learn how to use it and practically apply it to their own lives. Not looking for the quick fix, the happy pill, or the 10,000 pounds. I had nearly said Danish krona there, but the 10,000 pounds that are going to fix everything. It's like, okay, well,
It often does. I mean, they say people who win the lottery, they have an initial burst of happiness, and it doesn't last.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're doing it properly, but you know. But I mean, if you look at someone like J.K. Rowling, she kind of won the life lottery when she managed to get Harry Potter published and stuff like that. And one of the things she does with her millions is that she's actually, I think she's been demoted from being a billionaire or something, because she gives away so much money to charity and charitable projects. She can't actually have billionaire status, which is like, oh well, big deal. But that makes her happy, you
Yeah,
know.
when I had money, I used to give to charity all the time.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
back
I
when
made
you
the
and I
point of
knew each
doing a
other, I
monthly
was quite
charity
well off.
thing. Sorry, what did you
I
say?
said back when you and I knew each other, I was quite well off. I was always given to charities.
Yeah, you bought me a few beers. I was definitely a charity case in those days.
No, not anymore. No, I'm
No,
just
no,
I'm
no,
struggle. Every day's struggle now. But I'm
no.
actually a lot. Even though I got less money, I'm actually happier.
Yeah.
Although there's no drama where I live. I kind of miss my friends because they all live hundreds of miles away. But there's no drama or stress or anything, and it's just nice.
Yeah. I think that would also be something that I found one of the tools that I teach a workshop based on conflict management, and people always think that it's purely going to be based on how do I solve a conflict, and the way that I approach it is about making people aware of conflict. And you mentioned drama, and like this is one of the biggest issues that young people, older people are facing is this. There's drama everywhere, and then they get involved in it and upsets their happiness, it upsets the balance. And just think, when you teach people how they react in conflict, how to assess, is a conflict actually necessary right now, or could I respond to this rather than reacting to it? Then again, there's a lot more, self-aware people communicating in a positive way. Conflict gets resolved very quickly, and we get to solutions. Like we're actually very focused on the problems rather than the solutions, and I think that's one of the reasons that people are unhappy
I find
today.
that a lot online. I get fed up of looking through Facebook and everyone complaining about a problem and no one suggesting a solution. Like if I've got some very left wing friends and some very right wing friends. I've got some very anti Brexit friends and some very pro Brexit friends.
Oh, that's confusing.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle. I tried not to say where I am because I try to avoid conflict. But they're always highlighting problems and no one ever suggests a suggestion. It's like, oh, this
Yeah.
is wrong and that's wrong. And no one is willing to offer any kind of solution or even just a vague idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're taking the responsibility, isn't it? It's like, I think that's one of the things that maybe our generation is has challenges doing is because we had this very privileged childhood. I mean, people have got way more privileged childhoods than we did now, but we had this sense of privilege and things being fixed for us, and we lost that sense of having to take responsibility. Um, and that I think that's really interesting. You say that people can't look at the solutions because when you focus on the problem, that's what you're going to where energy flows where your attention goes, right? So if you're focusing on problems, then nothing's going to get different. If you focus on like, okay, well that's a problem. What can I do about it? Am I going to go out and go to a demonstration? Or am I going to stop using plastic water bottles and get a refillable bottle? It's like these little responsibility things. And I think that's another thing that would be great to teach in schools. To teach to take self-responsibility, self-awareness, and take charge of your life rather than living your life. Uh, I don't know if you've heard of the victim complex.
Yeah, I know like some people like to be a victim.
Yeah, and I think unconsciously more of us are than we'd like to admit. Is like, oh, the government. Okay, well then, have you considered standing for parliament? Have you written complaint to your MP? Have you tried to get a community to group together to fix this problem in a different way? Oh, it's the government's fault. It's it's like
Yeah, a lot of people like that.
yeah, yeah, and I'm really sure I can put my hands up. I'm not saying I'm perfect. That I have had those kind of conversations in the past in my life as well. But I think trying to be conscious and not do it really makes me a lot happier.
It's like what, like if I walk down to town, um, but from where my house down to town, I walk along the cliff edge, and there's people always dropping litter. And I was thinking I could complain to the council and say, why don't you have better street cleaning? I just pick it up because if I just leave it, it's going to blow over the cliff and go into the sea.
Yeah, that's awesome. If everyone picked up 5 pieces of litter a day, then how much cleaner would the planet
I
be,
mean,
right?
it may not seem like much, but it's just a small, instead of just complaining about it, and because
Yeah,
the local group for where I live, people like to complain about things all the time, and I'm like, well, it's not helping,
yeah.
so I just pick it up.
See, that's perfect. And that makes you feel happier in yourself. You're living your principles. And it's a very simple thing that doesn't take a lot of time, right? That's the key to happiness right there, is doing what you're doing.
Just recently, a lot of my friends have split up. I don't know what's going on. Everyone seems to be having disastrous relationships right now, and none of them seemed vaguely aware of how to deal with their emotions. And it's like I've got quite several. I don't know what it is about people. I've got quite a few like empathic friends who thought it'd be a really good idea to get in a relationship with like narcissistic people,
Yeah.
and it's never ended well. And it's just like my news feed is depressing right now because I've got all these people that just don't know how to deal with healing themselves, and all my blimmin' I can't log into Facebook without seeing posts about self healing and forgiveness, and it's just like it's only advice for them. Don't get into a relationship with a narcissist.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting topic actually, because this kind of relates a bit to my own life story. Because one of the things that I learned when I moved from where we knew each other in Surrey, and I moved down to Avebury and started devoting more time to my spiritual life before I started working with people and becoming a pedagogue, and then later on a life coach. And one of the things I learned there was to actually look for the teachings. And it sounds very cosmic and very Buddhist, but it's actually very logical and simple. Is that basically when you have a pattern, then you're dealing with something unconsciously. So, like, you'll remember that when we knew each other, I kept falling out of being in and out of homelessness. That was my thing. I think I was homeless 4 times in Camberley, and that happened to me twice after I left Camberley. The last one was actually 6 years ago, before I started my business and basically turned my whole life around. And what was the final key that stopped that pattern was me looking for, okay, what the heck is it that I'm not learning in this? Because what I notice is that, and it's not just in my life with the homelessness, but everybody gets it, is, you can go through an experience of a relationship being like the first one is a little bit bad, and then you get a worse one, and then you get a worse one, and then you get a worse one. And it's the same pattern repeating. And if it's the same pattern repeating, then it's kind of dumb not to look at it and go, why am I creating this? And it's a tool that I learned there, is like, why am I creating this? And when you look at that perspective and shift and go, oh, okay, well, I created this because actually I have this issue. And what I learned about the homelessness one for me was that I was actually not willing to take care of myself. Um, I didn't put the emphasis on looking after me. I put my emphasis on everybody else because actually it was too scary to put it onto me. And also at the same time, I'd never had a stable home environment. So actually having a stable home environment was really scary. So I kind of created this destructive pattern so that I kept myself in my comfort zone and didn't say. And when I suddenly went, okay, well, actually, I'm worth more, and this is a fear that I have to work with, started working on me, not projecting it onto the partner that was rubbish, the partner that was violent, the job not giving me enough money, and started looking at, okay, how can I work with this? That turned everything around. So it's looking for the teaching and looking at why did you create that situation, looking for the teaching in it, and then doing something about it. That's the bit that people forget. So like all that fluffy advice about forgiving yourself and accepting yourself, it's all relevant, but you have to realize what it is you need to forgive and what it is you need to accept before you can break the cycle, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah. At the same, so I'm currently trying to make a video where I'm losing a bit of weight because I can't see it too much here, but if the belly is there. But yeah, I started out. I think the first 2 weeks I was right on target, and then after that, I kind of was losing track a bit, and I really slipped last night. I just bought a big packet of sweets, and I have a sugar addiction, but that's another thing.
It's another video.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to me or someone to just sort of stick into your goals and your targets and not drifting
Yeah.
off?
I think this is something that I actually take a workshop on this called habit forming. And it's about the concept that when we start a new habit, the first few weeks, we've got this like dopamine rush, this success experience, and then maybe something throws us out, like you bought a packet of sweets last night, and instead of going back onto it, we get into this guilt cycle of, ugh, I didn't do that, and then I can put it off. And what this is it's you coming out of your comfort zone, and you're like, oh, I've stepped over my comfort zone. Oh, I don't like this. I have this old pattern of behavior that I feel really comfortable with, so I'm just going to go back there. rather than staying there. And that's where habit forming really helps, because when you make a regular habit, a regular commitment to something, uh, then that gives you the motivation to keep going while you're trying to get to your target. I think one of my favorite quotes about success is success is not about what you do when you feel like it. It's about success is about when you. Okay, I'm quoting it badly, but it's basically, it boils down to that success is not about what you achieve when you feel like it. It's about what you achieve when you don't feel like it. So one thing is to create a habit. The other thing that I would suggest is, when you're doing a goal like that, when we set goals, we tend to go, I'm gonna do something really unrealistic, like go to the gym twice a week, 7 days a week, and pick up my two kids from school every day, and have my full-time job, and eat really healthily, and we try to do all this at once. And I would actually say that people need to be more realistic about the way they set goals, and also like say, okay, the main goal is I want to. I would never say lose weight, but I would put it as be healthier, because that's a mindset perspective. But then you set these mini goals. Okay, this is a mini goal. This is a step to success. Mini goal, step to success, so that you can actually slowly get there. And then you have also this like midway dopamine point where you're like, oh, well, actually now I'm going to the gym twice a week, whereas I started at once a week. Check. Now I'm actually starting to go swimming once a month, as well as going to the gym twice a week. Check. So there's these mini milestones. But the last thing I cannot recommend more than enough, and it's something that I use constantly in my own life, is actually setting up an accountability partnership. And accountability partnerships is basically, I find it easier to do with someone that's not a really close friend. We do it as part of one of my workshop programs, where I do a seasonal spirituality personal development program. And I do it with one of my workshop participants in that, and everybody else has a partner as well. So we have these are the goals we'd like to achieve by the 31st of October, which is the end of the course. And we only choose 2 goals. And then we make these little like step-by-step steps of how we want to achieve this goal. And then each week we phone each other for 20 minutes, 10 minutes for me to go through her goals, 10 minutes for her to go through my goals, to say, okay, what's the progress and how you're getting on? And the partnership's not about this, have you done the thing you said you would do? It's not about guilt, it's about support. So it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? Could you do it differently? Or maybe would it be better for you to backtrack and work on that previous step till that's more of a habit before you introduce the next step? And it's something you can do with anybody. You can choose somebody at work who's got a similar goal to you, or, I would not recommend doing it in a relationship unless you have very good communication. I have seen it work in relationships, but it can also backfire a little bit. So it's habit forming, baby steps. It's about making your goal realistic and celebrating the mini milestones, and accountability and getting support, because we as an animal, we as a species, we need a support. So having that support really keeps us on track.
Right, I think we'll probably end the video there, because it's been going on for quite a while. If you just want to remind people who you are and where they can find you, and then I'll put all the links in the description below.
Yeah, I really want to say thank you, Terry, for having me on today. And this awareness of how to be happier in your life is something that I'm really pushing as a life coach. I've got a lot of articles on my website, Reroute Your Life, and there's 2 articles a week. One is usually about tips and tools that you can use to whatever the theme topic is. So this week it's about gratitude. We're looking at gratitude because it's autumn equinox. And then on the Friday, it's always Life Lessons 101, which is experiences from my own life. And you get to see actually that I am not this perfect person. I'm just someone working at it the same as you. And I'm actually launching a YouTube channel in November as well, which is a collaboration between myself and some of the students that I've been working with when they were at the academy, which is about getting more information out there, having a life coach on your couch. So that's going to be launched in November. I'll send you a link for it then. So if you want to get some coaching advice or get involved in the dialogue, then come on over.
I suppose I should do an outro. Normally I just be like, bye, and turn the camera off.
Welcome to plug my YouTube channel for November.
Yeah, there'll be a link when because this video is not going up till November anyway.
Okay, cool.
So there'll be a link. I'll have one of those little annotations you can click on, and I'll put all the links.
Cool.
If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you think it'll be helpful to anyone, share it around. As I said, all links are in the description below to Emma and all the stuff she does. All right, see ya, bye.